What is going on, fight fans? I'm back here with another video for you, another UFC MMA prediction video. I'm going to be talking about UFC 306 and the fights that interest me the most on this card. Going to be making my expert predictions on what I think is going to go down on this card. To start off first, the Chihuihuis man, Raul Rosas Jr. is going to be fighting on this card, which him being of Mexican heritage and it being a Noche UFC, of course. I expect him to get a win. Should be pretty easy for him, especially with the time that he's taken off, coming back, getting a win, and now getting back into another winning streak that he could be able to mount for himself. I think will be really well suited for him. So Raul Rosas, whoever he's fighting, especially on this card, I know he's a Chinese dude. He can be able to beat him up pretty easily, and I expect him to get the win. Moving on up the card, Edgar Charis was supposed to fight somebody, but they have a replacement fight of Joshua Van, who's going to be coming in, who is coming off that KO loss to Charles Johnson, which was a tremendous stand-up fight between those two guys. You know, hasn't had a lot of time off, but he is a young dude. I think he got KO'd, I want to say like 2 months ago. But this Edgar Charis guy is not really much to say so. I mean, he lost to Tatsu Taira, who is a grappling phenom. A guy who was actually supposed to fight Joshua Van once, but that fight fell through. And I think this is definitely going to be a really good bounce back for Joshua Van. Get him right into winning ways. You know, had a little step up with Charles Johnson, which was actually really good step up for him, especially in the flyweight division. So I think Joshua Van will get the win his way. Moving on up the card, we have a really, really close fight between these two guys, between Manuel Torres and Ignacio Bahamondes. These both guys are coming off three fight winning streaks in the UFC to start off their career so far, so they're pretty much on the up and up between these two guys. Torres more impressive in his ways. I mean, he has two KOs and a submission, so he's getting dudes out, especially early in rounds, early in fights, especially in the first round. And Bahamondes has been um, more of the typical fighter that you can expect him to be, especially being so long and lanky in the lightweight division. He is 6'3". He does have the reach advantage as well and the height advantage, with Torres being 5'9" and a 73-inch reach, and Bahamondes being 6'3" again and a 75.5-inch reach. And Bahamondes, I believe, having a knockout in the last fight that he has, but he has two UDs besides that as well. I'm going to give the slight edge to Bahamondes, but I wouldn't be surprised. It should be a very evenly matched fight. Don't really expect a lot of grappling in this one. I expect a nice tactician, technical stand-up fight between these two guys. But I'm gonna go with Bahamondes on that one. Moving on up the card, we have Irene Aldana versus Norma Dumont. Usually, I don't like to call WMMA because it's literally a flip of a coin. You never really know what's going to happen. But these two girls, I mean, obviously Irene Aldana has challenged for the title before, even though she got her ass handed to. She's coming off that, I mean, tremendous fight between those two girls with her and Caro Rosa. Carrosa, especially that win looking good on her record as of right now, especially the win that she's just coming off as of right now. And speaking as a person who actually beat Carrosa, Norma Dumont as well has beaten Carrosa. I don't think they had the slug fight that Aldana had with Carrosa, but she definitely got the win with that one. And Norma Dumont is coming off a four-fight winning streak. They both fought Carrosa, and I'm glad that Irene Aldana took the time off, especially after that haymaker of a fight that she had. I'm gonna edge to Irene Aldana, more experience. I think more of a complete fighter, especially with the stand up. Her boxing is tremendous, even though she doesn't know how to check a leg kick. And if it comes into any type of grappling, I mean, Dumont has, I think, a slight advantage over her. Again, with WMMA, it's a flip of a coin the way that you can see these fights going. But I'm going to go and lean towards Irene Aldana with her nice kind of impressive boxing that she has. Moving on up the card, we have Daniel Zuhuber versus Esteban Ribovic. Um, this is another fight that's actually pretty decent. I mean, Ribovic is 2-1 on his record. His first fight that he had in the UFC was a loss, but he is coming off that KO for Terrence McKinney. He knocked him out stiff, but McKinney is chinny, and when hasn't he stiffed? Got laid out stiff, cold, knocked out already. And Zoe Huber is pretty much a prospect in the UFC, 3-1 record in the UFC. Again, another fighter between these two guys that has lost in his first fight against Ogden. Can have a little bit of issues with wrestlers, but his stand up is really, really impressive. You can see how they kind of want to mold him the right way and give him the right fights for him to be able to build up his record and build up his name and status, especially him being Mexican. They want that Mexican market in the UFC. Zoe Huber is really, really good with his kicks, really, really good in his stand up, and has some nice power, especially with his lanky size and his reach advantage that he definitely uses. I'm going to go with Daniel Zellhuber by knockout. I think Ribovic is definitely game, though. I think he can definitely create some type of problems for Zellhuber. But I think Zellhuber is starting to more get into his rhythm, especially in his career. Still very young. Both of these guys are young, but definitely Zellhuber's very young, and they want that prospect to be able to prosper later in his career. Moving on up the card, we have the future fight between Brian Ortega and Diego Lopez, a fight that was originally supposed to happen. I believe it was UFC 303, but obviously it fell through. Ortega got sick. And they moved it up from 145 to 155, and then all of a sudden Dan Ige had to come in and save the card and fight against Diego Lopez at 170. So it was a tremendous showing on a tremendous heart and willing just to be able just to compete by Diego Lopez. A lot of credit to him. Shout out to him. He's really that dude. Even though he did show some endurance and cardio issues later in the fight against Dan Ige. I mean, you had to bump up weight classes like 3 times, just to go from not fighting a dude, not knowing if you're gonna fight him, going up to 145, then 155, now 170. And again, you can kind of say the same things that you can say between these two fights. Brian Ortega was very inactive, and then finally had that fight against Yair Rodriguez. Gets a really nice submission, but looked kind of iffy on the feet, even though his boxing is pretty decent. You're trying to do that against Diego Lopez, even though Yair, I would think, is a lot better with creativity and just throwing kicks out or throwing punches out there like crazy. Diego Lopez, his power is like unfathomable at featherweight. So if he touches you and catches you, it's a wrap. I think their grappling exchanges kind of negate each other, even though I do think Ortega definitely has the advantage in the grappling department, whether it comes to submissions or anything on the ground. But I think Lopez can be able to negate that because he's well versed on the ground himself as well. I'm going to go with Diego Lopez by knockout. I see it in the first round. I think it's going to be a tremendous showing out for him. I think he's full Brazilian but has some Mexican in him, or he's around a lot of Mexican people because he has that Mexican slang for him. So he can definitely show out for the Mexicans, even though not being a traditional Mexican. So I think Diego Lopez's star is going to be continue to grow in the featherweight division. And with that happening, another knockout and another name, especially another well-known name in the division for Diego Lopez. Moving on up the card, we have the co-main event of the evening, a trilogy match between these two women in the, I believe, flyweight division, between Alexa Grasso and Valentina Shevchenko. The first fight was a very big surprise for Grasso, getting that nice rear naked choke submission against Valentina Shevchenko. The second fight was a very, very close and even fight. I think if you want to score it round by round and going by technicality, I do think Shevchenko did win that fight, but it was scored a draw. I mean, you can look at the knockdowns for Grasso and really give her that type of advantage, but I just think technically and especially on the feet, how it went, and with Shevchenko mixing in the grappling as well, I think she did enough. But I mean, the power advantage does side with Alexa Grasso. Now, this being the trilogy fight between these gals, I mean, again, you could pretty much just look at the same thing. I mean, Valentina Shevchenko, technically sound, has power in her legs and hands. Not tremendous power, but enough power to get respect. Grappling, I think she has an advantage as well. But Grasso, with her Mexican style, being very gritty, having really good boxing, and also having the power advantage, I mean, you could definitely look at how it's pretty much a technical versus power matchup between these two gals. Again, this is a very, very split draw 50-50 cut down with a Rager edge type fight. I'm going to go with Alexa Grasso. I think Shevchenko is going to have a lot of success early in the fight. I think she's going to really start to beat up Alexa Grasso. Grasso will have her moments here and there, but will definitely have the control for Shevchenko. I think she will have her way, especially in the first and second round. But I think she will start to get comfortable in the third round, let her guard down. Maybe not as much as, a person usually getting comfortable beating somebody up. But I think she will definitely have some lapse in her judgment and get caught with either a right hand or a left hook, get her ass sat down, and I think Alexa Grasso retains her title. We finally move on from this trilogy between these two gals who have really been holding up this division, and we can finally get some new contenders for Alexa Grasso to be able to, be eager to fight and put an end to this rivalry, or if you want to call that a rivalry between these two gals. But I think the fight will definitely be entertaining. And again, I think Shevchenko will have her advantages, especially you can see from the two fights they've had their advantages. And there's a lot more ways that you can see that Grasso needs to improve and show that she can be able to beat Shevchenko. Because again, I do think Shevchenko won that second fight, but I'm going to go with Alexa Grasso by knockout in the third round. And we go to the main event between Sugar Sean O'Malley versus Merab Dvalishvili. Marat, CEO of EPO. I mean, this dude is terrible on the feet, and the grappling is like just cardio, bro. His grappling is just. I mean, I'll give him credit. His grappling is really good, but it's usually the pace that he pushes, the pressure that he has. And O'Malley, you know him as being a sniper, but he can be used his volume as well, can be able to switch it up. I think his grappling, Sugar Sean, is very underrated. I think a lot of people usually just see him as a stand-up fighter, and if he gets put to the ground, I think that they think it's a fish out of water or something like an MVP, but I don't think that's the case. And I think this is a matchup nightmare for Merab. I think this is the worst type of fighter that he can be able to fight because he has to be perfect for 25 minutes. Similar to what a Deontay Wilder is in boxing, if he catches you at the right moment, it just takes 1 second to hit you right on the button to put you out. And Sean O'Malley has shown and proved that he has that in this bantamweight division. So I think Merab, him being very chinny, has shown he got hurt multiple times. Him really just relying on the grappling and his cardio, and his stand-up is not good at all. If O'Malley is somehow able to negate the grappling and keep it a stand-up fight, it is over. Merab's only chance to win this fight is by using his grappling and gassing out O'Malley, trying to be able to defend takedowns over and over and over and over and over again, because literally that's what Merab does to win. Uh, just smudges you around on the fence and stuff like that. But I think Sean, especially early in the fight, is going to be able to get his bearings, get his reads, really make it really uncomfortable for Merab. Maybe stuff one takedown, maybe get taken down a few times after that, after Marab does some chain wrestling. But I think O'Malley's going to be able to get back to the feet. And if it stays on the feet, it's over for Marab. It's a wrap. I think Sugar Sean O'Malley is going to get a second round knockout against Marab. And I just hope Marab doesn't win. Honestly, I mean, we already got Bilal as welterweight champion. We don't need more boring fighters that just do this smudge style of fighting that just are crotch sniffers to the end. I mean, God, bro, I really don't want to see that. So I got Sugar Sean O'Malley to win and retain his title, and hopefully to move on to bigger fights, even if he doesn't stay in the 135 pounder division. But thank you guys for watching. Like this video if you obviously like the video. Comment your opinions on what you think is going to happen in your predictions and what's going to happen in UFC 306. Comment if you also think I'm stupid and what I'm saying and who I'm predicting to win is the wrong person, if that's your opinion. You know, you're opinionated. Everybody's able to have one. You know, everybody has their own brain. And subscribe, man. Subscribe if you want more of this consistent type of content being able to come to you, whether it be MMA, boxing, basketball, and football season's about to start. So that's definitely going to be keeping me busy with this channel. Thank you guys for watching. I appreciate all of you, and peace.